their quarterback last year. I didn't realize that Bo Wallace actually broke Eli Manning's record for touchdown passes in a career. You know, as up and down as he was as a quarterback,
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
a lot of turnovers, but Bo plays some ball now.
Yeah, serviceable
kid.
Isn't he overseas playing basketball right now? I think he is. I think he's overseas playing basketball.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think I read that a couple weeks ago. Just caught my eye, and I decided to read the article. Yeah, I think he's overseas playing basketball. He was a two-sport athlete at Ole Miss as well. So they're another one of these SEC teams that have some. They're in flux at quarterback. We talked about that with Georgia yesterday, as well as Alabama. You know, the Alabama thing ain't really settled either. The kid Jacob Coker, he came in last year and was supposed to start, didn't start last year, and then this year still finds himself in another quarterback battle for a starting job. So, the situation is not solidified there either. And here's the thing about that too: if Ole Miss or Georgia's your favorite team, I don't think it's based on what Alabama did last year. They were right up until the first game thinking about splitting the reps between the two quarterbacks, Blake Sims and Jacob Coker, and then ended up Blake Sims just settled in and played some very nice quarterback, like some record-setting quarterback last year. So if you're one of those teams this year that don't really have a quarterback yet, I think patience. You can exercise a little bit of patience. Georgia's offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer, got an NFL Schottenheimer, NFL offensive coordinator in Athens. You got an NFL offensive coordinator in Cam Cameron in LSU. Who is their offensive coordinator? Matt Luke would be. They have two offensive coordinators at Ole Miss, Matt Luke and Dan Werner. They probably have a passing game coordinator and a what am I trying to say? And a running game coordinator is probably why that position is split up the way it is. All right, so at quarterback.
Actually, one is black and one is white.
Is that what it is?
I'm joking. It's Mississippi, but hell,
such an idiot.
I just figured out.
Yeah, you're such an idiot. So this year's quarterback, he was the nation's #1 junior college quarterback. His name is Chad Kelly. He'll be the guy taking over for Bo Wallace. He was actually a young man who was dismissed from Clemson. Don't know why. I didn't take the time to look that deeply into it. The problem with the Rebels was they were a team of two tails. They led the nation in scoring defense last year, but then on the other side of the ball, they were 67 in scoring the football on offense. So that in itself, you guys can imagine, is a huge, huge problem. They also have two other quarterbacks on the roster, a third-year sophomore in the name of Ryan Buchanan, and another gentleman in the name of Devontae Kincaid that will be competing for time. But what it looks like is the kid from JUCO is going to start the season for them. Good thing for him, or whoever's taking snaps, or whoever's getting handoffs. They're returning all 5 starters on the offensive line. That's pretty big. This kid, left tackle Laramie Tunsil. Have you heard this kid's story, dude? How he got arrested for a domestic violence charge? Did you hear about this kid?
Nope.
Tunsil. Yeah, apparently his stepdad caught himself trying to push around this kid's mom. Yeah, and my man was not having it at all. Yeah, dude. And yeah, he ain't getting put off no team. Coach, what's that coach name? I just said it, didn't I? Coach Freeze was like, yeah, I probably would have liked him to handle it a different way, but hey, he got to stand up for his mama. Boom. Yeah, dude. My man thought it was going to go down on some simpleton stuff. Like this huge kid was just going to let him push around his mama. Yeah, that didn't happen. So yeah, he caught a little charge for it, but it ain't nothing that's going to affect the plan. And then now I think him and his mom are actually filing suit against the stepdad, from what I read. So there's him, and he's going to be one of these guys on the team. There's a couple of guys on this Ole Miss team that are going to find themselves being picked very highly in next year's draft, and he's one of them. They have a freshman who is rated the number 3 guard coming out of high school. His name is Javon Patterson. And then they've got the Treadwell. I don't know if you guys remember the Treadwell kid from last year. He'll be coming back this year off of injury and is expected. Another dude, him, Kimdichie, this tackle, Tunsil, they're expected to go pretty high in next year's draft. So this is the year that big class they had, the Kimdichie class that they had at Ole Miss. Like, this is year 3 of that class.
What is his brother doing out there?
His brother was hurt a lot last year. Denzel? Yeah, he was hurt.
Denzel.
He missed a bunch of games last year. And I think he's 1 year ahead of Robert, if I'm not mistaken.
1 year. Yeah,
so he'll be in his senior year this year. And this should be Robert Kimdichi's last year as well, to be honest with you. He should find himself getting paid money this time 2 years from now. Speaking of that defense, they lost 2 All-Americans in their secondary. They got 2 new corners, Tony Bridges and T. Sharper, which allowed them to move one of their incumbent corners, Mike Hilton, to safety. These dudes are the type of corners I like, tall, long, physical. The only dude that doesn't like those type of corners is Jamie Dukes. You ever heard him say that? I just don't like those long, rangy corners. Yeah.
Well, because, the thing about it is, Big Mike, is that, Deion was not the tallest cornerback, but he had so much swagger.
Yeah,
Deion had swagger for Big Mike, you don't understand.
You know who Deion never had to see? Julio Jones and Calvin Johnson and Bebe Thomas.
No.
And the Evans kid down in Tampa Bay.
But Deion had the uncanny gift that he could shut down Jesus. Yes, I said it, Jesus.
Yeah. You know why? Because Jesus can't run sandals can't run routes in sandals. That's why.
I'm telling you, man. Prime was nice. Prime was, some of the stuff that Prime could do. You'd only really see it in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? So Prime was there was never a greater athlete than Prime. He could shut down anybody.
All right. Along with Robert Kimdichi on that defensive line, that vaunted defensive line at Ole Miss, they have a junior college transfer named DJ Jones, 300 pounds, and supposedly hella athletic. So that's a thing. A guy to be on the lookout for is Tony Carter, another safety. And I know if you're counting, you hear me say a lot of secondary names. Well, that's because the Ole Miss Rebels run a 4-2-5. So 4 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 defensive back. And this kid, Tony Connor, he plays a lot of people call it a rabbit or a robber, or some people call it a rover. It's that down in the box safety he's that hybrid safety linebacker type of player. So he'll still be considered a safety, but he'll play a lot of his game in the box, especially against the run. All right, so that is your Ole Miss preview. Now on to the Aggies of Texas A&M in their 3rd year in the SEC West. Where did they come from? They came from the Southwest Conference. Where did Texas A&M come from?
Yeah, somewhere. Where is Texas in?
The Big 12. Did it come from the Big 12?
Yeah.
The Big 12?
I think so.
All right, anyway.
But then the Big 12 turned into this, because the Big 12 is on the 10 now, right? Is
something
that
like
still?
that. Yeah, it's so confusing still to me. It's so confusing.
Yeah.
Like I think BYU is in the Big East. So there's that. They're in Utah, but they're in the Big East. So forgive me for not understanding the geographics of what I'm talking about right now. All right, so they're predicted to finish 6th in the SEC West, but they are currently ranked number 20 in the nation. Of course, Kevin Sumlin is their head football coach. He's 28-11 over 3 years. Apparently, he realized now that you got to play a little bit of defense in college football, just a tad bit. So that's going to be his main priority. Now, he even went as far as to hiring John Chavis away from Les Miles' crew over in LSU. This is a team that allowed 36.6 points a game per SEC game last year. Can't really do that and win games. Don't give a damn if you got Kenny Trill. Who, by the way, you know where Kenny Trill's going to be playing football at now? It's a little.
Where?
Kenny Trill, actually, a couple weeks ago I read this, maybe last month. He transferred to TCU, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Yeah, to the Horned Frogs.
Is he competing for the job?
No. He's got to sit out a year. He's going to sit out a year. And
he got to get there. Okay.
The reason he chose TCU is because it's cool for him to sit out a year because the kid that's coming back to TCU this year, like you just mentioned it yesterday, that they're number 3 in the country. They have an incumbent quarterback coming back already, but next year will be his last year, which will make room for then a new quarterback, which is if you're Kenny. What is his name anyway? Kenny Hill. If you're Kenny Hill, I was gonna keep calling this dude Kenny Trill, like that was his real name. Kenny Hill. Yeah. He's gonna actually hopefully slide into that role and be playing for the Horned Frogs next year. Okay, so as far as now, the guy who took Kenny Hill's job last year will be a sophomore now, Kyle Allen. Had a decent season last year, but of course, as a freshman, you can.
Yeah, see, he don't know one of those catchy names either, man. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
He does by the business.
Yeah, just play ball.
Ain't no Johnny football, no Kenny Tree.
Just play ball.
Yeah, he's bucking the tree, and he's bucking the tree since A&M's been in the SEC.
Until you hear somebody say, "Yeah, that's Kyle style," or something stupid like that. Yeah, until you hear that, and then everything falls apart.
Wow, Cal. That's a wild Cal.
And the funny thing is, the guy who he's trying to got to keep at bay for that starting job is another highly touted freshman, subsequently named Kyle Murray. So there's that. Of course, it's Texas A&M, so they'll have wide receivers. Josh Reynolds, who set a school record for 13 touchdowns last year, he'll be back. And then they have a kid who, by the way, you can't not be fast and have this name. His name is Speedy Noyle. Of course, he will be their deep threat, as though I had to tell you that. The running backs will be Trey Carson and Brandon Williams. They're saying that this Brandon Williams kid might go both ways and play some cornerback as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so he's come out. So he's like the first one in college.
You're ridiculous. No, the first dude in college was like a dude that played in Portland somewhere anyway. So no, he wouldn't be the first gay college football player. There's another team that had deficiencies on the offensive line. 27 sacks last year, and many times you saw this team play like fourth and short or third and short was always a mystery. Like it was like this team. Like I didn't think the team was that good the year before last when in Johnny Manziel's last year. And then last year, after they kicked the crap out of somebody in that first game, that's when all that Kenny Trill stuff started. And everyone was like, yeah, look at that. We got a replacement. And then it happened. Real football had to be played. And he was like, I don't know what to do, coach. And coach was like, I know what to do. Sit your ass down. Get in there, Kyle.
Yeah. I ain't stupid.
Right.
I know what to do.
Sit your ass down. We're going to go to a bowl game, damn it. And they did. And I don't know where they went. They went to like the Iowa Bowl or some craziness like that. Another team that will be able to get after the passer. They have some athletic pass rushers in Myles Garrett and what's the other kid's name? Junior Deshaun Hall. Myles Garrett actually set the freshman record with 11.5 sacks last year. And this kid Deshaun Hall is 260 pounds of grown man. He's a junior, so what's that? 19 years old, 20 years old? Yeah, 260 pounds coming off that edge. Get that in your life. I'm excited for college football to come back around, to be honest with you. All right, we got like 90 seconds. Let me hurry up and wrap this up here. The linebackers, Otaro Alaka, guy who seemed to show some improvement in the Liberty Bowl because he was the defensive MVP in the Liberty Bowl. They have a junior college transfer named Claude George that did some good things for them as well. And, oh, yes, this is another team that could not cover a damn thing. If they had a blanket, they couldn't. They're bringing back Devontae Harris, a kid who has started since his freshman year, and I remember this kid too. Slaw has no ball skills at all, and a kid named Armani Watts, and a junior college transfer named Justin Evans. We didn't get a chance to do Arkansas. Maybe we'll slip Arkansas in tomorrow as just a one team on their own, and do that before next week when we get into, I don't know, maybe the ACC or the Pac-12 or some other conference. We'll try to do a different conference every week as the prominent teams in the conference, by the way, not the slaw. We're not gonna be talking about no damn who's a slaw team in the ACC, Rob?
Who's the who?
A slaw team in the ACC. I mean, you got like Georgia Tech, Miami, Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina. North Carolina's probably a slaw team now. Yeah, we're not gonna be talking about North Carolina. How about that?
Yeah.
All right, that's gonna do it for us, everybody. Sports Kings Live.
Go ball out.